Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Secret Sauce podcast series powered by Khaleej Times. This is your host Roy, and I will help unravel and uncover the intriguing journeys of some of the most accomplished young entrepreneurs in the UAE who have inspired, made it big, and how. Real estate is the real deal in the UAE, and if you look at the Burj Al Arabs and the Burj Khalifas of the world, they will vouch for that sentiment. Now these are boom boom times again, and these are reflected in some of the statistics that's coming through. Dubai transactions in real estate has exceeded 24 billion USD in the first quarter of this year. And with the UAE population estimated to grow to 6.2 million by 2040, there's a lot of land, there's a lot of real estate, a lot of demand and supply equilibrium that's going to follow suit. In uncovering the real estate landscape more, what better than to have a chat with one of the most admired CEOs in the real estate space in recent times, Atif Rahman. Atif, thank you so much for your time. It's an absolute pleasure to have you as part of the show.
Hello to everyone, and thanks for having me on your show, Roy.
This is a Khaleej Times podcast.
Thank you, Atif. The pleasure is all ours. Some of the stats that comes across is very staggering, really, and we would like to understand more from you in terms of how you have been able to cater to the latent needs in the market, the niche really that was left uncovered earlier, and how has been your journey in that? Because if you look at some of the stats, you have probably won the real estate CEO award a couple of times. You have been rated as, let's say, 11th among the 100 topmost 100 business leaders in the Indian fraternity in the UAE by Forbes Middle East. And just it gets more interesting as we delve further. If you look at your ORO24 space so far, 10,000 units sold, 10 billion AD in terms of sales portfolio, 30 new projects launched, and then you look at around 15 million square feet of built up area and 150 plus customer nationalities you have catered to. I can't help but observe that these are all multiples of 5. What were those 5 ingredients or the secret sauces that really helped you in your journey so far?
I think, Roy, the 5 is the lucky number of my wife. So
there you go.
I think it's been lucky for me. But I'm not a believer in number, because everything starts, no matter what number you are at right now, it starts from a 0. Mm-hmm. And I think I have the greater respect for 0, where I started from. And it just keeps adding up. And I think, in all of it, Roy, we've never been focused on the top line or the bottom line as a focus for launching projects. We don't go by the market curve, which excites us to go ahead and launch a project. The single reason why we launch a project is when we believe that we can do a transformational, innovative real estate, something that will impact a human life in a nice way, because we're building homes or offices or retail shops, and it has a phenomenal impact on the people who use it. And when we feel that, no, we have been able to do justice, you need to exploit every aspect of the land to be able to deliver that. And we create new boundaries of innovation, and that's how we launch projects. So we keep adding up, and then it goes into, it was so lovely hearing to all of that, but I have never kept account of these numbers in terms of billions or hundreds and thousands and millions, End of the day, we understand that as a business, we exist and we grow until the time we keep innovating. We continue to remain sensitive towards a human life, and we're responsible as a business, and we're creating good impact. We'll continue to grow, and the numbers will keep growing.
Okay, one of the dilemmas, that most of the middle income groups in the UAE really face is the dilemma of whether we should rent or whether we should actually buy. Because rent constitutes a major portion of their salary incomes or even their savings, really, right? So how do you think you can help address that bit of confusion in the minds of the populace that is aspirant, but probably is not decided yet because they don't know whether it's going to be a good call or not?
So let me put it this way, Roy. It's not just for the mid-income segment, right? There's a psychology called buyer's remorse, and it exists in all of us, right? So when you're actually buying something, instead of feeling happy, you're feeling a little bit of remorse that I'm parting away with the money. Is it the right decision or not? No matter which income category you belong to, right? as a business, when we go out to buy a piece of land, when we're looking at a new project, we have that when when we're procuring material for the site. So that anxiety, that remorse is always there. So it's like consistent across the human industry, I would say. When it comes to the decision between buying or renting, I think it becomes even more important for the mid-income segment because you have limited income sources, right? And instead of filling up someone else's pocket, you rather own, you pay equal or just maybe slightly over towards a property that you can own, and it will continue to build equity on it. So it will continue to increase in value. So your worth or your financial status would keep upgrading if you were to own the property. So yes, it's again, it's a very, very careful and a responsible decision that one needs to make. My advice is, if you have not accumulated a decent amount of saving, do not buy a property. You would probably end up stretching yourself. So you should have a decent amount of, deposit or a down payment that you can afford. My way of looking at it is, if I was buying a property of say $100,000, I would definitely try to have a $30,000 to $40,000 saving in my account. If I have that, and then I can divert my rental expenses towards acquiring a property, I'm doing great to my financial strength. And over a period of say 2, 3, or maybe maximum 4 years time, you would have created an asset for yourself, which you will continue to benefit for lifetime. And look at it this way. Once you have crossed that 3 to 4 year period, when you had to stretch financially a little bit in acquiring that real estate, what after that? That's a saving, right? So holidays, shopping, or more real estate, you can continue expanding your expenditure capacity, So that's how I look at it. So I would say, if you have decent saving of 30 to 40% of value of the property, 100% acquire the real estate. You will never ever regret, and never think whether this is the right time or not. It will never be if you keep looking at it, because you'll always have something or the other to complain about. Like, for example, right now the market is booming. Okay, so what? Or maybe the market is not doing that great. In either scenario, you're not buying real estate for now, you're buying for the future. And at some point of time, which I recommend to consider a period of 7 to 10 years time, you would start making phenomenal amount of profit from that investment.
Very interesting, Atif. And probably, if you talk about boom times, which is the case now, and it's all about crests and troughs, right? There's a high tides and low tides and so on and so forth. Yeah. And probably when it comes to buying property, they say in boom times, high tides don't show the rocks. Low tide does, right? And we've all been through the cycle of, let's say, the 2009 recession, subprime crisis, and you had the oil and gas crisis, then you had the huge crisis called COVID, post-COVID recovery, and so on and so forth. In that period, you have been able to endure, survive, and even thrive. So what has been your secret sauce for business resilience, really, of most companies failing, but you've been able to do well?
I'll talk about this industry because that's what I know, real estate and construction. I think it's a very multi-layered and heavily leveraged and exposed industry as such. And in that, I think as a business, we need to limit our exposures, and I choose discipline over greed. So what I said at the beginning, that I don't launch a project because we want to increase our top line. No, that's not the objective. We focus on creating good real estate. We leverage, or probably we are zero leverage as a company. We're very, very economical in leveraging. We are very disciplined in leveraging. And for that, you would see that ORO24 is a very conventional, very conservative business platform. And on top sits innovative real estate. So we only create real estate for the future. We do a lot of financial engineering. So from fundraising to cash flow management, which becomes the most critical aspect of successfully running this business. So if you're able to raise funds in an economically leveraged manner, you have identified a good real estate, you're managing the cash flows and construction in an efficient way, you will sail through any market cycle, any market sentiment, any market wave for sure. And I think that's what I have done. I have never lost money in real estate. I've been here since 19 years. I've seen the highest of highs and lowest of lows. I still had active sites back in 2009-10. In fact, I still remember Arjan was the location next to Miracle Garden. And a few of my friends used to make fun of me that why you dumping money in the middle of desert? Today, you cannot buy an inch of land over there. And that is how real estate is. And going through all of this, I simply want to ask a question, Roy. Today, people who could not buy a real estate during the last 20 years, do they have a remorse and regret that they could not buy?
Do. Big time. Big time.
So the advice for the future, you don't want to living that regret and remorse again.
Right.
So acquire, and, today Dubai and UAE is offering you every platform. You look at infrastructure, you look at trade liberalization, you look at immigration reforms. It is giving you let's talk about crisis management. I think UAE managed the COVID and pandemic better than any other economy, any other government, right? So the government has given you everything from infrastructure to crisis management, telling you that we're here to take care of our people, right? You have a mainstream economy. It's a developing and developed economy over here. So I think in every reason you look around, from your personal wealth to financial status, to fulfilling your necessity, to being part of an economy which is always forward-looking, right, and developing, I think it gives you every reason to go and acquire a real estate for yourself. So remain, for businesses, as I said, remain as economically leveraged as possible, manage your cash flows efficiently. You will sail through every market move. Do not focus on the top line and bottom line. Focus on creating good real estate, because that's what consumer wants, and you will sail through. Your customers will not default. They will stick around with you, and be sensitive. Do not try to overcharge them, because when the market corrects, those are the properties which will correct heavily. And that's the time when you have the risk of people defaulting and not paying, not continuing with it. Create a good real estate, price it right, and if you have managed your cash flow smoothly, you will sail through.
Amazing. In the value chain of where the real estate comes from, there's a developer, there's a contractor, subcontractor, vendors, the whole chain, right? And when there's disruption at the top, you saw how the contracting industry fell apart, right?
Yeah.
So how do you think is the ethical side of developers in terms of being able to plan right, award right, being able to, sell right?
So I still remember, I was compelled by one of the leading medias from India when RERA was announced in India to be on one of the panel discussion. And my objection to that was that I am from Dubai. My business is headquartered in Dubai. I understand Dubai RERA. I have little know-how of how the Indian real estate market and RERA is going to be. But I was literally compelled to be part of it. I said, okay, fine. I still remember on the flight, I was so confused. What am I going to talk about, And then came the thought to me that, it's ultimately about intention. Because theft is a crime, it still happens. Murder is a crime, still happens. So it's not about the ecosystem and the regulatory framework. I think the entire thing starts from the intention. And when you talk about ethics, I think it's paramount in this industry. And I say this with caution that, there are two things which is and will always remain unknown in this business. When you excavate the ground, you don't know what you're going to find over there. When you open the tender bids, you don't know what it is going to look like. Maintain ethics. The power of maintaining ethics is that people will respect you. They would love to. They would be hungry to do business with you. That's what I've experienced, I think it all boils down to your intention. If your intention's clear, ethics, approach, everything will be taken care of, If you talk about the tendering process, the contracting industry, we believe in following the tender ethics. We have open tender, closed bid. We invite all the contractors. We open in front of everyone. Fair chance of negotiation. Because I don't carry any fear, and my objection to following any other method is that what's the worst that can happen? We were overpriced. We'll retender. And the beauty of real estate and construction is it's an industry of possibilities. If you have the intention, you'll be able to make it possible, from design, execution to commercial negotiation. If you have the intention, your ethics will be in place and you will make it possible. So I think it's the most important thing for me as a business, the ethics that we deliver, and in return what we get from all the strategic partners, because you mentioned we're right at the top of the hierarchy. And if you remove all the contractors, the brokers, the suppliers, the subcontractors, and everyone involved in this business, we will be a total failure. And if you are able to maintain the right intention and ethics, I think it's probably in deficit in today's time, and hence it makes you more premium as a partner that people love to deal with you.
Okay, taking a leaf from ethical practices, how is ORO, or for that matter, the real estate spectrum really, in terms of pursuing ESG goals, environmentally sustainable goals, looking at the carbon footprint? How do you lay emphasis on that side of the story as well? You probably look at green technologies like LEED and Estidama and all of that. How important is it? And is this something that can be sustained in the future?
It is. And I think it goes beyond just sustainability. It's going into your factors which are ultra critical in my opinion. Like we are very, very sensitive about the emotion that we deliver as a business. We are sensitive about the male to female ratio that we maintain in the business. So from the society point of view, environment, society, both combined together, I think it's very, very critical, because combined together, that's the ambience that we live our life in. If you combine the society and environment, and both are critical. If you have a healthy society and a green environment, you would love to be present over there. And I think we take it very seriously. If you come right from our headquarters, the kind of, say for example, the greenery that you'll find in my headquarters, as what data suggests, the air inside our headquarters is 33% cleaner than other offices because of the amount of greenery and carefully selected plants we have got in our offices. You go into society, we have education program for our staff. We have summer training for aspirants, graduates or undergrads. We have very, very careful mix of male and female ratio in our office. We have initiatives which is called La Salute, where we have our own staff nurse at disposal in our office on our payroll. So our own staff nurse was round the clock available to take care of health of every employee that we have got. We have many initiatives on that side where we do a constant regular checkup for the health. We have our own chef, our own restaurant that cooks healthy food for the staff. Going into the developments, we are very, very conscious of the sustainability we deliver through our developments. So whether it's the sustainability factor or looking at the reuse and reducing of the material usage, we're very conscious of that. So we implement that on the drawing board. So yes, as I said, environment and society, I think it's very critical for us as a business, and we're very, very sensitive towards that. Yeah.
And you feel that this is the trend that's going to be in the future as well, because for most sustainable businesses, I think this is what the talents will probably also look forward to. And instead of being just certified as a great place to work, these are some of the ethos that makes an organization really a great place to work in.
Oh, yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I think, any reasonable human, we built the human mind, body, and soul is built to go towards the good, right? And anything that is good, people would be attracted towards that. And I 100% agree with you, because we have one planet which we share with everyone, and we have to be responsible towards that. We have to be conscious of the future generation, and we have to contribute towards the upkeep and maintenance of this planet and the society that we live in. And I think without any doubt, you will, let me share something, Roy. What I've noticed is that it controls our attrition rate. People don't want to leave the company because they find greater value that the workplace they come to every day. It creates a great emotion for them that they carry back to their home, not stress, right? They always, like, for example, when we hire employees, we have a section under which they have to declare a cost that they support as part of the screening process, right? So I think any human, if you put in that great atmosphere, you out of the contamination and pollution of whether social or environmental, you'll love it. And for sure, I think we are very sensitive about it. And it's not just limited to ethics and values, but it delivers profit for the business. Like, for example, last salute, by having our own staff nurse, we are able to proactively manage the health. And hence, I can bet you, my insurance premium per capita is lower than any other business because our staff are generally more healthy. So immunity is better and they're healthier. So they need to visit less to the doctors and spend less on medicine, and hence my premium for insurance is lesser. So it's a 360-degree benefit you will have, you know. So and by the way, you can take any brand, any business, you can have the best of books, but if your staff, your own people are not happy, they're not healthy, you're not delivering profit in a sustainable manner. So it will take a hit at some point of time.
Very true, very true. In terms of being a real estate tycoon here and being sort of maverick in terms of looking at an innovative way of looking at applying onto real estate models, what's your take on the 3 biggest challenges that is facing the real estate ecosystem in the UAE now? And what are those trends that you see in the future which is going to probably be helpful for the consumers at large?
The first, can I just correct? I'm no tycoon. I like to call myself a construction worker.
Fair enough.
And I believe in being student for life. Tycoon is a very heavy word. I can't carry that. My shoulder's not strong enough to carry that. I love being construction worker. That's what we are. And I think I love being that. Trends, I think trends and the challenges, I think gap, I would expect a better transformation in how the land transaction happens so that it fills up the empty spots in the city and it is more centric towards the developer where I can go in and focus in certain areas, and my synergies to efforts to concentration are dedicated on the projects. So instead of doing that individual plot sales, it transforms into a more kind of a district or a package that is given to developers to develop. I truly believe that UAE and Dubai has gone past that emerging market stage and we are a developed economy and ecosystem today. So I think a unified planning commission, which I think is in pipeline, is a need of the hour. Banking revolution or banking reforms towards the real estate sector is necessary. It will only further strengthen the industry, whether you look at it from a consumer point of view or from a B2B trade point of view. Maybe a more facilitated contractor financing, project financing structure can further help the industry improve. Trends, I'm very, very confident that Dubai would continue to attract more and more foreign direct investment in every sector, including real estate, because it has proven, it's got a proven track record and it's proven a point, the ability to bounce back from any crisis, whether it was the economic crisis back in 2008 or the pandemic as a crisis. I think the fastest and the first to bounce back was UAE. And that, I think, we must credit to the leaders of this nation. They have amazing vision, and all of that, before development, is a human life. They care for the human life. A human life matters over here. And Roy, I think for people like us, me and you, who have been here for decades, you know, it's nothing new. It's in the DNA of this city. You know, if God forbid there was an accident 20 years ago, you know, and there was a very emergency kind of a situation, air ambulance would be sent regardless of the income grade of the person. So it's always been part of the ecosystem and the DNA of the city. Today, the world is experiencing it, you know, whether you look at from the economy to the hospitality to the safety to the lifestyle. This is the best place on this planet, and it will continue to attract more and more investment. That means the industry would continue to grow into bigger size with more diversification, because you will see a wider category of customers who would start coming into this country. So real estate and across the band, not just residential, but offices, retail, commercial, industrial, healthcare, education, all of it would continue to expand in terms of the real estate industry.
Lovely. And speaking about your customer subset though, and in terms of, you know, being able to evolve and innovate continually, you know, we stay in a world, we probably live in a world where things are replicated very easily, duplicated very easily, the first mover advantage stays for a particular shelf life, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see that changing for anybody in that space to be able to constantly evolve, innovate, and how?
I quoted this example, so I'm a 70s born, right? And I'm from the era where it was transistors and radios, right? There was no television, and then came television, black and white television sets with the shutters, right? And I still remember the couple of government-owned channels used to beam for a couple of hours during the day, and Wednesday and Friday would be very, favorite time for the Chitrahar and all that stuff that used to happen. And then came the cable TV, color TV and cable TV, and then I think used to be originally 10 or 12 hours of beaming, and then it became 24 hours. And then you have choice of more than 1,000 channels, and now you have the Netflix and the smartphones and the social medias. You see how the world has transformed, how it has innovated, and so has the human need. Like the way I look at real estate is how many power sockets do we give next to the bed? Because you need to recharge a lot of devices from your watch to your AirPods to your smartphones, and I don't know how many things, So the human need would continue to change. Human race is known for evolution, right? So we would continue to evolve, and that is where you find innovation. You don't have to invent, you just have to go and monitor. That's what we do. Like, for example, our latest development, and you're right, people, I call it people get inspired. And like, for example, we introduce bowling alleys, Why should we limit to gaming centers? Why not maybe the guy who worked hard, came back home and wants to just go and maybe enjoy some time. So we create that community within our projects, right? And people got inspired. I see there are a few projects which are, incorporating that. The latest one that you're going to see in our latest project, which will be going to the market, say, end of this month, beginning of next month, is delivery boys. So you have a lot of delivery boys who come to the Zomatos and the Talabats and everything, I need to create a space where they can go and use a toilet. We've created that. Where they park the bikes, we've created that. There are a lot of move-in, move-outs. So the trucks, where would they park? Which elevator would they use? Is there a decent place for the movers and packers to go and sit and maybe enjoy a little bit of calm, clean drinking water facility for them? So innovation is the simplest thing. You have to first you need to have the intent, right? And you need to observe the human life. And that's where you find the answer.
Okay, finally, because the secret sauce, your food for thought, probably for the aspiring entrepreneurs who like to get into real estate in some form. What would that be in hindsight based on your journey so far?
Many things. First, you have to accept that nothing comes easy. You got to be ready to work hard. There's no easy money in this world, right? If someone is successful for whatever reason to whatever level, they've worked hard for it. So you got to be ready to work hard. You have to sacrifice, and sacrifice is a very heavy term. And let me simplify it. So the way I consider sacrificing is you choose your passion and you follow that. So automatically you would avoid things that are not necessary and not in line with your passion. So if you have that passion, you follow your passion, right? You would automatically sacrifice. So it won't be a difficult term for you, right? You have to be honest to yourself before anything else. No matter what you do, if you have a human life in mind and you have the intention of creating a positive impact, it will drive immense amount of value and profit to you. So don't ignore that. Don't bypass that and say, no, by bypassing that, I would make more money. It will never, By having that value proposition in your vision, in your business, in your approach, you will always benefit in the long run. Working hard, being honest, being passionate, looking after your health, which is very, very important. Two things never comes back. One is health and time. You lose it, it doesn't come back, right? So look after yourself, what you eat, what you feed your body, both mind and soul and body. It's very, very important. So the thought that you keep in your head, the food that you feed your body, and the feeling that you give to your soul is very, very important. Feed yourself the right food, thought, and feelings. respect time. It's once gone, it's gone. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Do it today, right? And if you have these elements and you have that ability to redo it every day over and over again, because every day when we wake up, we are different as a human, and we are a result of what we experienced yesterday and the day before, and so on and so forth, right? So how quickly you are able to refocus yourself when you wake up, and you're able to give that drive to yourself on a daily basis, it makes you successful. There's no secret formula. There are many things that makes you successful, and I think you have to create that combination of all these things and much more.
Thank you so much, Atif, for your time. Absolute pleasure. Critical insights can come only for somebody who's had that journey. Doesn't come from books, doesn't come from sermons, right? And I think the audience at large will really appreciate what you have shared today. So I hope that you have enjoyed the chat as well. We thank you again and wish you all the very best as you recarve niches in the real estate spectrum going forward.
It was lovely being on your show, Roy, and I can say, hands on my heart, that one of the best one I really enjoyed, because none of them were the typical question. I really loved answering all of them.
Thank
they
you,
were
Atif.
completely innovative, insightful, deep, and I really loved it.
Thank you, Atif.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So there's a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, Atif Rahman, a guest on the show, as enigmatic, as candid as ever. And I'm sure for the audience at large, there are very crucial takeaways that you can incorporate, imbibe, and get inspired from. Ladies and gentlemen, for Secret Sauce podcast series powered by Khaleej Times, this is your host Roy signing off for now. Keep watching the space for more episodes in the future. Be safe, keep shining, take care.